Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? How are we all?
Good.
Right, just give it a couple of seconds. Right, I want to be prompt with this. I was hoping that we were going to be able to see all of your lovely faces, but it appears we cannot. So we'll crack on anyway. Welcome everyone. This is amazing. We've got, how many have we got? 45 and counting so far. Thank you all for joining. This is our first of many technical workshops. The movement that we've instilled in Figo in the last kind of year or so is putting you guys, kind of our customers, at first and at the forefront. From all of the development we've done, make it easier for you guys to build storefronts, to build products, our Figo Academy and our lovely Sam. It all stems from us wanting to make your lives easier and bring you to the forefront of everything we do. And these workshops is around bringing you closer to these people we have in front of us, the clever people at Infigo, our developers. I'll be honest, this kind of benefits us as much as it benefits you. These guys are hopefully going to get a better understanding of the way you think, the way you work, and the questions you ask, how you use the software. And so they can take this and apply it in their day-to-day work when they're developing the next set of amazing features and updates for you guys. But obviously it benefits you guys, getting to speak with the people in the business that, you know, in many other companies would be locked away in a cupboard where they usually live. But really these sessions are for you. You guys lead them, drive the conversation. It's your forum. So yeah, let's see how this goes. We're going to hopefully do quite a few of these. This is the start. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you learn a lot from it. I'm going to start off with some introductions. The one person you can't see because he's having technical difficulties is our CTO, Michael Zorner. So the irony there. Michael is our Chief Technical Officer, been with Infigo since almost day zero. Very, very clever man. Pretty much hand-built MegaEdit himself way back when we first launched, and has been a catalyst in building up the MegaEdit scripting library, and has got a very exciting demonstration for you today on the scripting documentation that he's going to run you through as the first part of this session today. We've got Ricky Forage. Hi, Ricky.
Hello.
Many of you will know Ricky. He's our head of professional services, but also our MegaEdit scripting extraordinaire. So lots of the cool MegaEdit experiences that you see out in the wild, Ricky and or his team may have built. Arta. Hi, Arta.
Hello.
From all the way from Moldova. He's our lead MegaEdit engineer and our invent master. So again, much of the invent plugin that you guys are using today was built by him and his team's fair hands. And last but not least, Duncan. He's our customer
Hello.
support MegaEdit champion. So you probably talk to him on a daily basis with the tick-through tickets. But if it comes in and it's MegaEdit related, MegaEdit scripting related, 9 times out of 10, you'll be greeted by that handsome man. A quick bit of housekeeping before we start. And I don't want to talk for long because it's not about me, but the idea was that we were going to see all of your lovely faces. For some reason, we can't. But we want you to ask questions. This only works if you do. There is a questions box down in the bottom right-hand corner. And so if you want to post your questions in there, please do. Don't be shy. No such thing as a silly question. Just pop it in the chat, and I'll keep an eye on it. And if we can, I'll unmute you to ask the question and ask for a bit of a what's your name, where you come from, Scylla style, and then let you engage with the people in the call to talk through it. Depending how it goes, we'll try and limit each question to around 5 minutes, just so that everybody gets an opportunity to ask a question. Not everybody, more questions get an opportunity to be answered. Anything's on the table, but this is your session, as I mentioned. But this one's ideally focusing on MegaEdit and more specifically MegaEdit scripting. So if we can keep the questions based on that, it would be great. Don't worry if we don't get to answer your questions. We'll take all of those offline, answer them, and they'll be shared out in an email with all of the questions that were answered in here afterwards, along with a recording straight after the session as well, so you can watch it back at your leisure. But enough of me. I'll hand you over to Michael. He's going to walk you through, as I mentioned, our MegaEdit scripting documentation. It's going to blow your minds. So buckle up. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Alex. So yeah, I'm Michael here. It's awesome that so many people are interested in this, and really looking forward to teach you guys more about our scripting engine. As Alex said, unfortunately, I'm not able to show the camera here for whatever reason, but I guess this would work just fine with the audio only. Very briefly about the scripting within MegaEdit. I mean, some of you guys are exposed to this, and we use this a lot in our projects and professional services. But within MegaEdit, you can do a lot with the UI, but there is a lot more you can do with the scripting interface it provides. And it actually shows that quite a lot of the feature set of Infigure is available through the scripting interface. So it's not just things which you might think about initially when you think about the editor, but you can actually access many other entities there if it is querying information about the user or products, or if it is to retrieve data from various sources and combine them together. That's all possible with the interface. And one of the downsides so far is that there was no officially shared documentation, so it was very tricky to actually use it for you guys, and we have changed this now by adding documentation for it. This is obviously quite tech heavy, so in case you are just interested about the possibilities in general, just ask, but part of the session really goes a bit deeper into the technicalities. So just so you guys are warned. So sharing my screen here.
If everybody can give a thumbs up in the chat when they can see Michael's screen.
When you can see this. So we will share the links later for this, and that basically, so that way you guys can start using this. So what we have created is a GitHub repository for our types. This basically will allow you to do two things. The first one is there is a documentation automatically available, which is at this link here, which contains information about all of the scripting objects, about the parameters to use, and so on. There is a very little introduction about the different types, general support, the color format, the rich text format, how to use this in general. And we will expand upon this documentation over time. So we will add more examples, more code you can use out of the box and add more details, more imagery to this over time. But basically, this will allow you to figure out what is possible within the editor, within the scripting engine. You can search, and you can filter it here on the left-hand side, see the elements of the scripting engine structured by the different modules. The document type of models, they are all around the job you currently which is currently open, though you can access pages, fields, work with the batch data, work with data in channel, which is stored against the document, change the canvas, change the stock, etc. And then you have some functions around this, and the documentation here shows you all the different methods that are available, along with the parameters and how to use them. Where possible, and I said we will expand on this, we will add example code, so that way it's easier to follow. You can copy and paste this in and just utilize this information as a starting point or as reference. So that would certainly help. Yeah, this is really there, though the document area is for the current document, while the editor area is for the actual editor, where you can work with the selection, with the view. You can change the viewport. You can register to events. You can access the resources, the uploaded clipboards, for example, or layouts. You can create and modify your own user interface, and to various other things. And this is again nicely separated in the different fields, so that way you can see those are all the methods related around events and how to use them. Right, when you want to see, for example, what are the events I can register, here again, those are the enumerations, where you can get all the events. And then in the event description, you see basically what is the data this event entitles, so that way you can use this in your code. Further on, though, obviously we have the editor, then we have our fields. So the field types we have support for in MegaEdit. The standard ones obviously would be text and image fields, what you guys know about, but we have also our custom fields, which allow you to create new field types through scripting. And that way, basically, you can extend the editor quite heavily. There will be some examples following in the coming time. But as an example, the barcode field is just a custom field. It's not baked in natively. It's just been added through a custom field. And that's something what you could do. You can add your own fields, which do their own rendering. And the rendering will be carried over to the PDF output in vector format with spot color support, etc. And you could use this for charts. You could use this for other type of drawings in a fairly easy way. Then some helpers you could use, access to all the resources, backgrounds, fonts, layouts, etc. And then we have a large library of UI components, over 30 UI components you can use to build up custom UI. Ricky and his team have built upon this, so that way you can actually create decent looking responsive UI for this by using some of the Bulma components, which you can use to create your form structure. But you have a wide range of common UI controls, buttons, checkboxes, date pickers, downloadable download buttons, etc. Layout components to tab them together, tab layouts, table layouts, stack layouts, column layouts, and then custom UI elements like a field editor where you can edit a bespoke field within a custom UI, or media items where you can use the media items uploaded by the user within your UI and, for example, drag and drop them onto the canvas. So this is all available, and now finally easier to use for you guys because you have a reference to do that. It's the second part of what this entitles is not just the documentation, but also an NPM package where you can download those type definitions, so that way you have a much easier time when you actually start writing a script by just using this. Those are TypeScript definitions, so ideally, and we recommend everyone to use TypeScript to write their scripts because that has many benefits, but that is not required. You can just use standard JavaScript as well, and still have the benefit of using those type definitions. And maybe very quickly, I show you guys how to use this as a starting point and see some of the benefits. So when we open up a new empty folder and initialize this with npm, npm is the package manager we would use for this, which allows you to install those external packages, and that just generates an empty file about this project and what this is about. And when we create a new file, a simple JavaScript file, and you would start typing your code, traditionally you would have obviously your problems because you wouldn't know exactly what this is. And now with the documentation we have available, we can of course figure our way around this, but obviously we have now the npm package available, and basically all you need to do is just install it through this link. Obviously I might bore some of you guys, but for some of you this might be new, and we can install our types here within the editor into our IDE. And once this is available, we get here syntax highlighting and IntelliSense for all the elements of the scripting interface. So we can use this information without jumping between the documentation and the editor, but we can do most of it straight there, and that would help speeding up the way to code. So for example, when we want to create a button, we could just do this button, and the IntelliSense will tell us basically what are the parameters to use this, right? And we can define a function, for example, and within the function we can use other additional functionality. For example, we can add an overlay to this. And
Michael, are you able to just make your font slightly bigger just for people to see? Or is that possible? If not, carry on as you were.
it should do this now.
Control
This is
plus.
Control plus. There's a second thing I can't do. Oh, like this.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. And basically with this you get access to the same documentation you saw before, but straight within your IDE, just helping out understanding what this is, what you need to do. And I don't know what I'm doing really here, but basically we show an overlay, we wait a second, then we just hit the overlay again. As an example, right? For a button, now we need to add the button to the editor. And this is also nice because that way you have in this enumeration, you know where to add those elements, and when you know what you're doing, it's fairly easy to code this without doing many lookups. And that way, basically, you would have a piece of code which adds a button to the UI. When you click it, it shows an overlay which goes away. So we could just use this. And then within MegaEdit, we can add a script and run it here. Traditionally, you would store the script in admin, so that way it's been run, but you can just run it against the job as well. And then it will add this button and basically just do what it's meant to be doing.
As easy as that.
As easy as that. Obviously, now this is something which doesn't make any sense, but we can certainly in upcoming sessions do a more focused like coding tutorial.
So the idea is that we will do a dedicated scripting webinar where we'll get some assets ready prior and have you kind of work along with Michael or another.
Because a few things which are quite nice, what the scripting interface allows you to do, where it gets really interesting for for you guys would be different areas like batch, for example. By default, the batch script we have, and then again, it's just a script. It's basically customized, so you can just add different sources, different ways how to process this, not using CSV or Excel files, but actually generating the data somehow differently or retrieving it through the API. You can add those custom fields, as said, which can add totally custom functionality to the editor. There is a way that you can interact with Invent. So in case there is a functionality missing of Invent, and currently there is quite a bit missing, you can extend this through scripting and just fill the gaps. There is an eventing system that you can get updates when variables change, or you can replace them, and this will also be extended as Invent is being improved. And those are areas where then where the scripting really adds a lot of value to it, so that way you can use this in combination together. So that way you would do the design within InDesign, do the most of the functionality in InDesign, but where it falls short, you then have scripting to come in and fill the gaps.
Wow, wow, wow.
That is it.
Thank you, Michael.
Me.
That is amazing. I mean, as you can see, there's so much that you can do with MegaEdit, and MegaEdit scripting more so. As I mentioned, we're looking to put on a webinar where we can go through kind of real life examples and talk you through creating a script. So keep an eye out for that. It's our trade secrets, really, the MegaEdit scripting, because all of the stuff that Ricky has produced and his team have produced, even the Invent plugin under the hood, has a MegaEdit script that translates everything that we create in Invent and converts it into MegaEdit. So there's so much you can do with MegaEdit scripting. It'll hopefully blow your mind. So it's over to you guys now, really. Any questions that you want to ask? The guys are here. Please do. I will take your questions and I will ask the chaps. If you don't ask any, I've got some. Come on, gang. Right, I'll start. Let's choose Ricky. We've obviously got a lot of products where people kind of regularly have to make updates, minor updates across lots and lots of products. Can scripting help with that sort of batch updates and building tools I know you guys and your team use scripting a lot to increase the productivity and efficiency of your team. Can you tell us a little bit about how you use it for those scenarios?
Yeah, sure. So we cannot run scripting currently as batch, as in just select 100 products and run a script on them. So you still need to open a product. But if in that product you have to take 5 repetitive actions with some programmable logic under it, you can basically program each of those steps. Move a field here, rename a field like this. If a field is tagged with this string, do these actions on it. And all these steps can be added into a function. And similarly, how Michael added a button, you can just trigger that function with a button. So you open the editor, you click the button, and you close the editor, because there is actually a function that saves the product's default as well. So it can do all of the steps that you need to do on a per product basis with one click and save the product as well. Now, in the future, we do plan on adding the ability to select scripts and have them run in the background on multiple products. And there you could use the same function, just run it on multiple products instead of opening the product up. That's a bit out. Couple of months, 6, 7 years. We haven't planned in yet, but it's something we definitely want to add. But in the meantime, giving you the ability to do half an hour's work within a product with a click of a button.
Wonderful. We've got one question from Katrina. It's about raising support tickets. But Katrina, I'm going to unmute you, and I'll let you ask your question to the gang. Let's see if this works. Katrina, I've invited you. Katrina, you there?
Morning, hi.
Hey, welcome to the party.
Yeah, so I just had some questions about support tickets. Is it just the same kind of thing as usual, but we just give you like a GitHub repo link to where our code is, or is there another sort of way you want us to do that? Because I'm sure it's gonna come up a little bit, especially for the first little while.
Duncan? Unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Katrina. Yeah, obviously, I think you're right. There's people are going to be looking into that and wanting to obviously use all that GitHub repository for all the different items there are. And hopefully, obviously, if we can get a session in with you guys, those that want to do it, obviously that will help everyone a bit, in terms of putting all those things together. Yeah, it's a tricky one in general. So with like custom scripts, obviously, because everyone's going to write them slightly differently and everyone's going to have different approaches to them. I think in general, we would obviously have a look at what you've got, but we would probably look at sort of professional services to help assist, just to sort of see if there's anything that they can debug or sort of help with any of your scripts. So yeah, if we've got access to the scripts that you've written.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Katrina. Obviously, providing you guys with more kind of scripting abilities, obviously potentially opens us up for more questions in the support team. But if we're being honest, it's probably outside of the support remit. In terms of guiding you through the documentation, we'll do a session with that with Michael and the guys. But debugging scripts that you've got or scripts that you've written that aren't working, that would be something that you would have to obviously support moving forwards. The scripts that we provide, we write for you, and we would obviously support. And if anything was to happen, we could fix. But yeah, there becomes a bit of a grey period around you guys write those.
The distinction would be, I guess, when it's about an individual feature of the scripting engine, right? If you want to understand how does this work or have general questions, that is certainly covered with support. But for example, if you have a complex product, a complex requirement, there is at some point basically the boundary where I think it leaves support and would go more into professional services.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense. Once you get into debugging and things, you're getting into the realm of actually.
Exactly, because you can write, because then it's actually this piece of code. But if it's on the fundamental level and say, how do I use this function, that is certainly something for a support query. And to answer the other question, it doesn't necessarily have to be GitHub. It could be anything. You can just share the piece of code. Potentially, it would make sense to share the link to the product you have already set up on a test storefront, maybe, which has it, because that way, because it's not usually or very often, it's not just a script itself, but it's also the setup where it runs. Is it the storefront, the context, the user who's running it, the other configuration, other fields, the configuration of the MegaEdit product, etc. So that in context together with the script, I think is important. So that I think would be the preferred way to share it.
And then I do have one more question, if I could ask.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Are these features just ready to go now? Like right out the box, we can use them? Is there, do we just need to reach out to you guys to have the features added into our accounts?
No, there's nothing new here other than the documentation and the guiding of you creating them. As long as you've got MegaEdit, you can use MegaEdit scripting. So yeah.
So if you ever saw any of our other demos and you saw a Mega editor experience that looked nothing like default MegaEdit, all of that was always done in scripting. So every custom experience and every simplified UI or every really complex one are all based on the scripting engine.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. So we've got Another question from Nikki. Nikki, you're up. I'm just going to search for you quickly. This is fantastic. Keep your questions coming, gang. Don't be shy. Hi,
there.
Nikki.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good. Thank you for your question. Would you like to ask the guys?
Yeah. So this is probably something we've asked about, but I'm just curious how tightly. So in the MegaEdit scripting, and you're building all this awesome functionality behind it. The SKUs that actually live within the product and the UI, how are those tied to the scripting? And so, like, if somebody changes their SKUs, which sometimes can happen, how does that impact the script itself?
Arthur, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, so basically we can access the SKU using the script interface, and it's only read-only, so you cannot change it in MegaEdit. You can just see it, and maybe you can show that on the editor, but you cannot change it via the script, so it's just read-only. It will not affect the product, the script, if you change it. I mean, it's just visually to see it at the moment. And you can have more information, not just the SKU. You can have the quantity, the product attributes, custom names, and so on. So you have access using the MegaEdit API. And Michael, maybe you can show quickly the
So basically,
function.
if you want to access this information, you can again just go through here. So we go through the editor interface,
Resources.
then we load resources, then we need to get the info,
Yep.
and then you can get the retrieve info. So you want to get information about the product. So we get a callback. So we have this data, and the second parameter here would be the ID. We don't need to know this, need to specify this if it's for the current product, and this will return an array of results. And then here we have the product information, and down here we have our SKU.
Yeah.
Basically something we could use, right? So we could just like an editor UI.
So once you've extracted that SKU, Nikki, you can use it however you want.
Whatever you would do with it.
Yeah.
But if you switch it out, I mean, by default, it wouldn't impact it at all. But you can use it to do something with that.
I see. So changing the SKU within the UI, the Infigo UI itself, is not going to have any impact on the functionality of the.
No. Exactly. The SKU is essentially
Not
just
for existing scripts.
Yeah.
If you've created a specific script that executes some actions based on the SKU that it is opened with, of course, it would affect it, as in it wouldn't trigger those. So if you use the specific SKU as a trigger, then that specific product would not work like it used to. But none of our current scripts that I'm aware of actually rely on the SKU for any kind of action.
exactly. It depends what you're after there, Nikki. But if you have a certain requirement that the SKU would impact something, whatever that is, it could be that it just changes the layout. It could change exchange content on the page. It could mean that certain people would. This really depends on your requirements, but you would have access to it through the scripting by itself. It wouldn't impact it in any shape or form.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Does that answer your questions? It does, because she's good. Wonderful. Mary, you're up next. Let's see if we can get Mary on. I'm loving this. This is fantastic. Invite incoming. Oh, here we go. Hi, Mary.
Good morning or afternoon.
Welcome.
Thanks. So I'm very new to Infigo. We're hoping to have our first site launch just after the beginning of September.
Okay.
And I was thinking, did you need to have GitHub to utilize the MegaEdit scripting, or is it within the actual MegaEdit product under scripts. I was, again, very new, so I just have a little bit of a disconnect. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very hard to hear you, Mary. As Sam mentioned, you sound a little bit robotic, but I think I grasped that as official your question. Firstly, understand you only recently bought the product, so thank you and welcome. Your question was, do you need to have GitHub to utilize MegaEdit scripting? Who wants to take that? Ricky?
No, you just need the documentation so you're aware of what's possible and what functions are available. But you can write it in any code editor. You can even write it in Notepad if you want to. Or you can go to MegaEdit scripting and create a script there. And there we have a code mirror editor where it validates basic JavaScript logic and has some IntelliSense. But you can write it in wherever or whatever you want.
This documentation is new to us as well. So you guys are getting it at the same time as Arthur and Ricky and the guys. So they've been doing it long before this was available. Where you write it in the IDE is not where you execute it. You write it in there because we've got the IntelliSense, as Michael suggested, and all the documentation. But you would take that and you would put it in the admin of your MegaEdit product and save it against it under the scripts tab. And that's where it would run. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. That answers it perfectly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. Let's have a quick look. Christopher, let's go. This one might be for you. Let's get you in, Christopher. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how's it going?
Very well. How are you?
Good.
Welcome.
Thank you. No, my question is just, we're pretty new to the product also. And, there's been, as we're kind of going through and getting stuff set up, just here and there, we'll find things where it's a feature that looks like, maybe should be there and it's not, or would just be, nice to have included in the product. And there doesn't really seem to be a readily accessible method to submit feature requests.
Yep.
When we do that I've done it from time to time and really just gotten the report back that, it can be done as a custom development option where some of it's not stuff that's necessarily, it's not that important that, we really need to, but would be nice to have in the platform. So I'm just wondering if there's an option moving forward or a plan moving forward to have some sort of like a community supported, feature request voting mechanism in place.
Yeah, there is. So we've been looking at a few platforms for that. We've tried a few. We're using one internally at the moment. So where the support team, obviously on the front line, are talking to customers every day. And Greg and his team and the sales team, if they see or hear about features that that come up quite a bit or people are requesting, we add them to our internal like feature request board. In terms of it coming public facing, definitely, it makes complete sense. Like this is, as I mentioned at the start, like we're really trying to push the customer first, and so having you guys help steer the product is certainly what we want to achieve. So yes.
Okay.
In short, at the moment, we do really encourage via support tickets. And appreciate that sometimes the support guys could translate that to a development request and guide you down there. But if you just word it that, you're looking to just recommend features or like to see, they do end up making it to us and these guys here. We do discuss them, and we do, if they make sense to us and the product moving forward, we do put them into the development plan. So we welcome all feedback and all recommendations.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Right, have we got any more? Thank you for your feedback, Eric. and Nikki. Right, have we got any more questions? If we've not got any, I've got a few more. So, who wants to take this one? Maybe Ricky or Arta. Are there any MegaEdit scripts that are available for the guys out the box? I know we briefly touched on this. Ricky?
Yes, there are quite a few. So when you create the MegaEdit product and you go to the scripts tab, you will see lots of scripts there that you can enable, and most of them you can look up on Zendesk of how to configure them and what they do. These are ready-made scripts that we did for some customers or just features that we wanted to push. They might not exactly cover your need in that area. It depends, and we can always extend these scripts to cover more. And similarly with the question of a voting system for new features could be a new capability or slightly extended capability for one of our readily available scripts. Now, these scripts you cannot edit yourself. You cannot see the code. But if you want to try to amend or change one of these existing scripts, you can request us to provide you with the example code, and then you can have a go amending it. But then it's your responsibility to manage it going forward with that change. Or you can send it back, and if we see that it's an amazing change, with your help, we might just implement it so it's there for everybody.
Thank you, Ricky. So I got quite a few things. I know, Duncan, you obviously get a few tickets come in from customers asking for various bits of functionality and stuff, but Arta, Michael, using scripting to read from a data file, I think it's something that gets asked quite a bit, but being able to have a CSV file stored somewhere or upload a CSV file and have that personalize the product. Is that possible through scripting?
Yeah, that's totally possible. So we can store it in the global additional data. It's one place, or we can have it locally and upload the CSV file or the Excel file, and we can read and do some stuff. One thing can be a theme, let's say, theme CSV with dark and white, and we can have the colors there, and we can read and do some stuff in the editor. So that's one option, for example.
And Michael, if they wanted to upload thank you, Arta. Sorry, Michael, if they want to upload a data file, where could they upload it and scripting access it from?
There are a few options for this. They can store it against our custom data categories, where the data actually will be split up and stored in our Elasticsearch service. That has the benefit that it is indexed automatically, and when you have a large amount of data in the thousands or tens of thousands, the performance to retrieve and search is still very, very good. But you can just drop the files in the global data storage as well in admin, and just drop the file as is there where it can be retrieved. It's just important that the file format which you use is easy to use within the script. Traditionally, that would be a CSV file. We have support also to parse Excel, for example, although it adds an overhead to parse this on the browser, so it wouldn't make sense to do this only when justified, and specifically because it wouldn't support any of the advanced features of Excel like macros or calculations, so it makes sense to convert it to a flat CSV file and store that.
We actually interestingly do this for one of our customers at the moment when they came to us with a requirement to do batch, but not in the traditional sense, where they have a data file stored in admin in that global data, additional data, or in the category. And then we wrote a script that just accesses that data file. It has 10,000 records in and pulls off, however many records that customer requires, inputs that data, and then places the order. And then gradually that file gets smaller and smaller, and then they update it and top it up for calling off personalization records. But so that is an option.
Maybe one more thing to say that, but depending on what you want to do there, as an example, to access the files in the global additional data, Arthur has kindly shared the link, but this is by default not available because you need to enable this through an ACL, right? There are some permission protections available, so by default you might have pricing tables, etc., stored you don't want to share, and obviously files you do share through this mechanism are available for everyone who can use and access the system. So in order to make the files in the global additional data store available, you have to add ACL permissions to that, and that can be done on a customer role level to ensure that this works.
Tim, did that answer your question, or would you like to come on and have a chat? Thumbs up, maybe. In the meantime, we'll get Frank on. Let's get Frank on to ask his question quickly. Invitation inbound, Frank. Thank you, Tim. Oh, a sad face from someone. What's that for? Not working, Frank. Frank's question was, if you can't connect, no. Where can we view the existing scripts? Ricky, you answered that one earlier. Do you want to share your screen quickly if you've got it?
So if you're referring to viewing the actual code of the script, you can't, sadly. Currently, we don't have them public. You can just use the existing scripts and look at the documentation. Now, depending on our stance, we might be able to share, if you raise a support ticket, that you would like to see the inner workings of one of the existing scripts that you use. We can definitely share it with you. And if you're one of the customers who has a script added to your system called Form Builder Refactor, then you probably have a custom script set up with a quite extensive script covering almost everything scripting can do. So you have 7,000 lines of code to play around with.
So if you do have that, check it out. Nikki, do you want to come on and ask that again, or should we? Yeah, let's give you one again, Nikki. We've got a couple of questions. Let's get Nikki on. Let's welcome Nikki back. 1 second, Nikki. So sorry, Nikki, just on Frank's one. Where you can see what was previously created, Frank, if you're in Infigo admin, and in admin you search MegaEdit scripts, you should see there a list of hard-coded scripts at the bottom. There's a whole table, and you can enable and disable those. Michael, is it an ACL that gives them access to these?
To the
hard-coded scripts, yeah.
No, I think it's just internal.
Wonderful.
Storefront admins can enable or disable them or create new scripts.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah,
but
the other ones, yeah.
Yeah, so you should be able to view them. There's a list of hard-coded scripts, and it goes from, you'll see the batch script and bits and pieces in there, and then there's a global config button that if you click, it'll allow you to set a global config about it. But yeah, as Ricky said, if you want to learn more about what each of those scripts do and how they're written, we can reach out and help with that. Nikki, sorry.
Of the global config. This is something new that we've added in the last week or month. where now you are able to configure a script globally or partially, and
rather than on a product by product
individually
basis
as well. So you can have a script that is applied to all of your products, and let's say 90% of your config is the same across all of your products. You only have a couple of specific things on a per product basis. Now you have the ability to configure that 90% for the specific script globally, and then only have the specific tweaks or changes that you need on a per product basis on the per product config.
Yep. Something else to help with the setup of MegaEdit scripts if you're doing them on multiple products. Thank you, Ricky. Nikki,
I'll
sorry.
follow up with.
Oh.
Sorry, I'll just say I'll follow up with Sam just regarding the the standard hard-coded scripts that we've got that are available, just to make sure that we've got documentation and links and articles, just so there's a list that people can access.
Wonderful. Thank you, Duncan. Nikki, sorry to keep you waiting.
No. I'll try not to accidentally leave the whole meeting this time. So I've just found when we're asking for sort of custom permissions or to set up a role that has custom permissions at ACL, it's hard for us to use the right terms that are like, hey, can you turn this on and turn that on? Can you recommend specifically, like if we have a developer, we have an awesome developer on our team, we really want him to have full access, not that he's going to go move a bunch of stuff around right away, but he's actually on this call, but just make sure that he has as much access as possible to start to better understand the system, get his hands dirty. What actual permissions do you recommend requesting for let's say a developer role in the admin?
Michael, want to say that?
Yeah, potentially the just an administrator role. You could give them, then they have access to everything. Or if you want them to not see any of the job data, that would basically require the permissions, the ACLs, to manage the catalog for MegaEdit admin.
I think what Nikki wants is them to not have any restrictions in them being able to do.
Yeah, basically,
cool,
I mean, he
cool
does
stuff.
have storefront admin, which is we want him to have access to everything. It's just it sounds like there's additional elements that we need.
Not necessarily. So when you're an admin, you have access to most features. There's very little which isn't available to that, I think. I can't.
So for that very little that we want to ask for, what do we ask for?
Yeah. I'm just thinking what you would not have access as an admin.
So global additional data to basically load a CSV into MegaEdit script. That is one of the limitations if you're using global additional data, but that CSV you can literally chuck into the CSS overrides upload location, and then you don't have that limitation. And or you can store those CSVs that you use in MegaEdit outside of it. As long as the same domain, there wouldn't be any limitation for loading the file.
One thing, Michael, maybe external API.
Yeah, but as an admin, you can still create them.
Yeah.
Right. And external API just isn't really topic of this yet. I mean, this is something in addition you can do. You can configure additional APIs which can be used by the system, by the scripts, and the benefit of this would be that the APIs are handled server to server. So our server will call the API server, though API tokens, etc., don't have to be exposed on the client side in JavaScript. And essentially, you would create the source and actions endpoints essentially for get and post, etc., with the potential parameters which are necessary, and then you can fairly easily call those API calls through scripting, and then use the response to do certain things. It could be text you retrieve, images to retrieve, connection to those new AI frameworks. So we have an example product which uses ChatGPT to just generate some text. Those are all things which you can do under the hood fairly easily with this custom API connectors.
Thank you, Michael. Is that all right, Nikki, for now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it still sounds like there's elements that you guys are referencing that are like, hey, you can request access to this in ACL, and I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, I think there'll always be a bit more that you can potentially do if you want to push it. But I mean, like if you come to us with specific scenarios and say you want to do certain things, then we can help with making sure that yeah, some of the stuff's not there for your protection.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely looking for whatever there is the correct access to.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I can follow up on that.
But as an admin, basically, you have access to everything. The question is more, and that's where the ACLs comes into place when you want to actually go use this product live, because your customers wouldn't have access rights like an admin has. Do they need this information? It could very well be that you write a script which reads a file which is uploaded in admin as an admin to help you with your product setup. The topic what Ricky previously touched upon, that you can use scripting to help you doing product generation and setup. You could write a little script as an admin which reads information from those files and populates fields and data with whatever is required. So only the admin needs access to this file, right? But if the end user needs access to this file, then obviously we would have to give this ACL to the registered role, or maybe even to the guest role if you're on an open B2C storefront. And that basically, those are details where you have to think about then the data security, because then you shouldn't have stored any sensitive information in this area either. Right?
The other thing while we're on the topic of kind of admin and non-admin users, a lot of the things that Ricky and his team do is you can check in the script what permissions the customer has. So you can say like is admin, and then do more. So you can have one script that caters for your customer experience, but then there's also the script can change how it behaves for an admin. So like if you want to lock down everything for your end user and have an end user experience, but then you don't want to have to go in and disable that script when you're working on it and have an admin on it, you can do those sorts of checks in the script to say if it's an admin, allow them to do this sort of stuff, but not if they're an end user.
A prime example for this would be, let's say you have a big text field with a lot of variables which have a prefix and a suffix, so name, email, etc., but it's one text field, and you have these placeholders there. When an admin logs in, he needs to see the placeholders, where they are, to format them, to select them, maybe move them, etc. When a registered user logs in, it should already trigger the population. They should never see a placeholder because it doesn't mean anything to them.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm going to try and get one more. Oh, we're getting some more. Let's try and let's try. Tanner, you're up next. Let's give you a go quickly. I'm conscious of time, so let's try and get a couple more in before we. What I also want to mention at the end of the session is just what the next session will be on. We've already planned that. We've got a date and a time and a sign up link. So stick around and we'll share that and get you signed up for the next one, which will be really exciting as well. Tanner. No. Oh, yes. Hi, Tanner. Hi, Tanner. You there? Can you hear us? No. Tanner's question was, are there any gotchas related to how the JS is processed? Is there a specific version of the JS engine that is running the code? Michael, you want to answer that?
Sure. I mean, it depends exactly how you set up. One thing we haven't really discussed is you have a bit of control where the code is being running. Should the code run in the browser on the editor session, or should the code run server side during output creation? So it's possible to do this. The scripting engine is the same. Obviously, server side, all of the UI functionality would be pointless on our knobs, but you can control this. And if it runs on the client side on the browser, then the browser engine basically is running the code directly. That we don't abstract this in any shape or form. So whatever version the browser supports is supported here.
This is specific to server side, Michael, he's just mentioned.
Exactly. And for server side, we support ECMAScript 3 and 5, including ES5 strict mode. That's basically what we would support.
Thank you, man. I hope that helps, Tanner. Right. I am conscious of time. Xiaofeng, apologies. We will take your question and any others, and we'll answer them offline and send them. Just to wrap up then, so we would like your feedback on how today's gone, good, bad, ugly. We're going to do more of these, so we want to improve it, we want to change it, so we want to hear from you. If you do have feedback, please email me directly, and I'll put my email in the chat for those that don't know. And secondly, and this is why your feedback will be greatly appreciated, we've got our second session lined up. So we will have a new group of Infigo wizards joining us. The link is in the chat now, and there'll be some emails going out, but you can sign up to the next one. The next topic is our API and webhooks. So we will be exploring those in more depth, in more detail. So if they're interested in that, please sign up, grab yourself a seat, and we will be joined by Michael again, Roman, our senior developer out in Moldova, and also Dennis, who is a wizard. So please sign up for that. But really appreciate your time today. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for joining in. Those that did ask a question, thank you for doing so. Hope you all found it useful. Straight after the event, we'll be sending out the recording. So anybody that couldn't make it, anybody that drifted off, you can watch it back at your leisure. But it's been brilliant to have you all on board, and we're looking forward to the next one on October the 12th at 3 p.m. Same time, October the 12th, API and webhooks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Arta. And thank you, Michael. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.